The Spotlight, shining a light on podcasts and videos that have caught our attention.
Hi and welcome to The Spotlight. I'm Jen Spiker and today I'm highlighting a recent conversation that was heard on Vision's weekend program, Real Faith. In 1965, Neville Muir sponsored a deaf Korean child through World Vision. Little did he know that the simple act of sponsoring a child would lead to a life spent spreading the Christian message to deaf communities around the world by starting Deaf Ministries International. On Real Faith, Eric Scatterbo spoke to Neville's widow, Lill, to find out the whole story.
The Spotlight with Jen Spiker.
Glad to have you with us. And before we get started finding out your story and the story of how Deaf Ministries International started, I just want to say thank you for letting me know what my name means. I should say you were born and raised in Norway, is that right?
That's right, yes.
Okay, and my surname is Scatterbo, and that is a Norwegian surname. I come from Norwegian heritage, and I wasn't always sure what my name meant, but you said there was two possibilities of what that meant. One was not so good, and one was very good. So the not so good one is scat means pay your taxes. Is that right? Or the alternative? Yes. The alternative meaning is something else. What is the alternative meaning of Scatterbo?
Oh, skatt can mean a treasure.
Yes.
Yeah, and for parents, it's the best treasure they can ever have.
Oh, yes, I love it. It's sounding good.
Yeah.
And bo at the end?
Skattebo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, bo means a place to live, or you can also use it for, a house.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends on the sentence or the dialect where you come from.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so actually I'm learning that I'm pronouncing my own name incorrectly. It's Scatterbo, not Scatterbo.
Yeah. In Norwegian we say Skattebo.
Skattebo. And
yeah.
I like this alternative meaning a place of or home of treasure, a treasured place.
Yeah, keep on that one and forget the other one.
Yeah, forget about the you must pay your taxes one. Yes, I'm with you. I'm going to stay with the better one. Yes, that definitely is the correct translation as far as I'm concerned. But anyhow, Let's get back to your story. You were born and raised in Norway. Tell us about growing up in Norway.
Yes, I grew up there, and I had lovely parents and parents who had wanted to have many children, and unfortunately they ended up having only one child. And that was me.
Oh, so you're an only child?
Yeah, I'm the only child.
And were you a Christian family?
Yes. Both mom and dad was a devoted Christian. So I grew up in a home where my mom kneeled every night and prayed for our family and the extended family and for friends, and I don't know who she would have forgotten.
Yeah.
And she was quite brave. She came even to visit me here in Australia at least 2-3 times.
Well, so, that leads me to my next question. How did you eventually wind up here in Australia? Well,
I guess that has something to do with my marriage.
Okay, well, tell us. What's the story?
Yeah, I met Neville, I think, first time, possibly at an international Christian conference that happened to be, I think it was in Norway.
Mm-hmm.
And so, casually sort of got to meet each other and talk or whatever. But because I learned English as a child, with my father being a merchant sailor, and mom and dad had an only child, and the company let mom and dad be on board.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on board with mom and dad for quite some time. And every port we went to, I had to speak English,
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, when I got to school in Norway, and gradually the second or third year, they started to teach English to the students in school. So then Mom and I lived at home, in Norway, and Dad came back every year or so.
Mm-hmm.
And that was how it was in the old days. The fellows were out quite a long time before they could come home. Nowadays, I think they're out 3 weeks or something at a time.
Oh, okay. Now let's stop your story and go to Neville. So he was born and raised in Australia, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, and he also was raised by Christian parents, and he had 2 brothers, and so we're quite a close knit family. And I have 10 grandkids, and we meet up. Every time there is a birthday party, we meet up, and
that's great.
If there's something else for fun, so yeah.
I should probably invite you to our home sometime because it is a place of treasure.
Right, there you go.
By getting back to you, how did Neville wind up in Norway to meet you? What was the story? What brought him to Norway?
No, yeah, I really think it was, we probably met at one of these international conferences or something like that. Yeah. And so we got to know each other, and then there were more conferences, and he loved traveling, but, it was sort of love at first sight.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, yeah, and I think it was the same for both of us, and we had a wonderful life together.
Yes, sadly he passed away about a year ago or so.
Yes, I know. Yeah, and that was cancer, and the cancer went into his lymph nodes, and by the time it did that, then it went very quickly downward. Yeah.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you met him?
Let me see. Possibly 25, 26 or something, I think. I wasn't, we weren't the very, very young ones to get married. So in our 20s, both of us.
Yeah. So how did you feel about leaving your home country to go to this place where there's kangaroos and go down under?
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. We didn't have animals like that in Norway. So
yes.
Yeah, and also because I was used to a lot of travel, and I met this man, it was like, honestly, I learned to pray for a good husband long time before I met Neville, and when I was a teenager, somebody said that. And so I thought, okay, there's nobody around, that I'm interested in or anything. But I had that prayer that if the Lord wanted me to be married, give me a good one.
And so even though he wasn't from your own country, you were open to the possibility of traveling to another country to live.
Yeah, it sort of, I don't know, it didn't faze me at all if he was a foreigner,
Oh, okay.
And we got to know each other so well, and because I learned English early, we could have good conversations, and we could talk on. In the early days, it was very expensive to talk on the phone. But fortunately, that really changed, and so when that changed, we could talk anytime. And I guess I remember we were out in the woods somewhere, and beautiful mountains and a river. And so I was the one who ended up and say, well, don't you have any question that you're going to ask me?
So you instigated it.
He was very shy around ladies.
Okay.
And there were lots of ladies who had wanted to marry him.
But you got him.
Yeah, I got him, yeah.
So what did he say when you said, don't you have a question?
Then I think we just laughed or something, and it all blossomed after that.
So he eventually asked you to marry him, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And then you eventually moved to Australia to live and settle.
Yeah, like my mom said, Mom was really down to earth with everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even though I was the one and only daughter, one and only child,
Yeah.
and she said, Lill, it's so much better for you and Neville to, when you eventually settle down somewhere, you should settle down in an English-speaking place, because you know English well, and that'll be so much easier for Neville.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom was just absolutely thought that was the right idea, and so I had no problems there.
On the Spotlight, we've been listening to part of a conversation between Eric Scatterbo and Lill Muir on Real Faith. We'll hear the balance of this fascinating story next time, but if you want to hear the full interview right now, you can by tapping the podcast tab in the free Vision app. Just search for Real Faith and the episode called Lill Muir, the Deaf Ministries International Story. If you have a favourite podcast or video series that you'd like to hear featured on the Spotlight, click Contact Us at vision.org.au and share the link. My name is Jen Spiker. Join me next time as I share the conclusion of the Real Faith conversation between Eric Scatterbo and Lill Muir.
For more great podcasts and videos like the one featured today, check out vision.org.au or the free Vision app.